While she's preparing herself, this trapeze artist was doing, you heard of the Wallendas. The Wallendas were very famous for falling. And one of the most famous accidents, they were doing the pyramid on a high wire with bicycles. And one of the family members cried out, "I can't hold it," and it collapsed. And Carl, the patriarch, landed up catching the rope with one hand, and then one of his children with the other holding. There were 100 some odd feet in the air. One was killed, one was paraplegic, very tragic. Carl ultimately fell to his death off the wire. But Mona was doing her laundry. Oh. and the thing about Mona is that it was that extra fold that she was trying to do with the stack, and she lost, and she fell down a flight of stairs, and she broke her neck. And while she was laying on the ground, as she was contemplating, ouch, what do I do now? And she realized there was nobody to hear her cry, so she gathered up her wits and walked up the stairs and said, well, with the laundry, and said, maybe I'll call the doctor tomorrow. Well, to make a long story short, with an MRI, it turned out she broke 2 vertebrae in her neck, one vertically and one horizontally, and tore the rotator cuff. I mean, this is a tank. And she outdid the Wallenda family. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the former Newburgh Poet Laureate, Mona Toscano. There you go. My God, you look like a knight from the round table with your, where's your mace?
Well, it's not my counsel to say break a neck either.
You're the most qualified.
Being this is the month of Father's Day, I thought I'd read my grandfather poem. My mother's father was a peasant. I don't think he had more than 2 or 3 years of schooling. And he came to America, probably worked for the railroad, and he had come from a good family, and so my great-grandfather thought it would be a good match with his oldest daughter, my grandmother, but it wasn't. She was a New York, Washington Heights sophisticate, and he, poor thing, was not very well schooled. And so, nonetheless, he always worked. He was a cutler. His specialty was doing the pearl handles to knives.
Wow.
And he also did very good Swiss jackknives. And when he got so that he needed help, my mother put him into a nursing home, the Armenian nursing home, if any of you know about the Armenian nursing home. And he wasn't very happy. I remember we would see him crying, and then he would stop crying. And I realized the other day, the reason he was probably crying was because he couldn't communicate with us. His English wasn't that good. And I think even if we knew Italian, we wouldn't have known his dialect. I remember when he went back to Italy, maybe some 50 years after he had come to America, I said, "Grandpa, how did you do? Were you able to talk to people?" He said, "No, they speak Italian." I suppose there was a lot done with this. And that's how it was with my grandfather and the willow. When the lightning struck the willow, the line between life and death was bent for 3 years. The triangular space between the lopped-off trunk on the ground took on an existence all its own, over which shoots shot up for 12 more seasons. When my grandfather was hit by a stroke, he fell over a plugged-in iron. A neighbor who came for a visit had him rushed to resuscitation. Cruel charity. For 3 more years, the Gothic arch, seared from the irons, scarred from the iron searing, gleamed over his beating heart The 12 empty seasons he railed to leave the Armenian nursing home. He shuffled behind a walker up to the head nurse and demanded, mindless of the stain from his loss of bladder control, that she give him the money sent to the cleaners with his trousers so he could leave, take a bus, get a job. Again, images from his youth recalled fantasy life out there, green as the May willow. He would put away his visionary ambition and sit silently when we came to see him. Disinfectant never could eradicate the urine effluvium in his room. My daughter would squeeze my hand hard. Every time that woman crossed the hall would wail, Mamoon, Mamoon, oh Mamoon. Again and again, I would ask, Grandpa, why don't you move away to a room far from that old woman? He would gesture, it was nothing. She spoke in his Abruzzese dialect. Mother, mother, mother. For him, the wailing was a while. The day after he moved to the hospice, he died. That spring, the willow sent up no shoots and died for real.
Oh.